One time I had this kind of weird dream, and it was this very large dark room, and in the middle of the room was a huge table, and I go closer and closer to that table, and it was like full of the people that I kind of knew, my relatives, my parents, some people I knew from high school and so forth. And on that table it was a very, very large Monopoly game. And I was watching them for a little bit, and they were doing all kinds of things. They're talking to each other, like selling stuff and being so engaged. At one point someone just gives me $100 and some dice and says just roll the dice and you get into the game. And the first thing I remember, I land on some property and someone shouts from the other side of the table like, "You owe me $20. And I'm like, okay, calm down a little bit. I give them $20. And people start to acquire, this and that, and hotels and houses and properties. And the more I go around this cardboard game, the more I realize that everything is kind of owned. Like, I'm landing on all kinds of properties and I get taxed here and taxed there. And I remember trying to complain about that, saying that, what am I doing here? You gave me $100, but other people have so much money and all of the properties are owned. And all I'm doing here is just pay taxes to other players, And I remember my parents looking at me and saying, no, don't worry, keep on playing, you'll get better. The more you play, the more you realize how to play this game, and you'll get better. Maybe you'll build your own houses and hotels and so forth. You can get a loan from the bank, we can help you here and there. But what's the point of this game? You buy all of these properties, you put all of these hotels and all of these houses there. You tax each other, you become competitive, you create this little mafia of my relatives. What's the point of all of this? Aren't you bored or sick of it? Where is the fun in it? And they started to laugh, and I say, okay, enough of this. And I said, you can go and play the game. I'll just go out and do something else. And then this man that I don't know, he grabs my hand and says, you don't go anywhere. What do you mean? He said, no, you stay here and play the game because you can't just leave the game. And this woman says from the other side of the table, she's like, no, let him go, but you won't be able to eat anything today or stay anywhere, because if you leave the game, you have nowhere to go and nothing to eat. I felt like trapped inside of some zombified movie. Minds were just focused on that game. That's all they knew, and I felt trapped in that stupid and bizarre story. And then, of course, I wake up. The dream was over, but the nightmare was not over, because I realized, when I look around, that all of these properties, all of these social statuses and so forth, they are as real as that Monopoly game. Everything in this world is a human invention. So I think you have to really pay attention to this, because everyone takes it seriously. And the same way that my parents were saying, you can keep playing the Monopoly game in my dream, the same way they say today, you should play this game of whatever we are doing on this planet, because you will get better and so forth. So I think there are a few things to learn. This game was invented some 100 years ago by a woman who tried to showcase how this world we live in, with properties and ownership and so forth, is going to lead towards inequality. It was called the landlord's game. If humans own properties and then they rent them, how that naturally leads towards these renters, these landlords, becoming richer and richer and creating monopolies. The irony of this society is that the game was bought by some company and they made lots of profits out of it, and it was sold with the name the Monopoly game. So the Monopoly board game is a human invention. All of those houses, all of those hotels, all of those properties, all of those money, that's just invention. Paper and plastic and cardboard. In the same way, our society that we live today, it's a human invention. That building that you see, why do you say it's owned by that guy or that girl? How come they own something? Of course they cannot own. It's as powerful and as imaginative as owning a piece of cardboard in the Monopoly game. It's just paper. It's a paper that says that building is theirs. You want to accept it or not, that's exactly the reality. So that's the first thing to understand. One, it's just a game and it's a human invention. Second, this game, it's extremely unfair. When you play it, you start as equal. Everybody has the same amount of money, no properties are owned. But even in that scenario, whenever you start the game, you realize that in time, properties and money will migrate, will gravitate towards just a few of the players, and again inequality will persist all the time. So even if in society we will start all as equal, it's very likely that we will end up in a huge inequality, the same that we see today. So the second point to understand is that this game is extremely unfair. And the third point, this entire game is based on trade. What is the point of the Monopoly game? You buy a property, you buy another property, you buy some hotels. What do you do with them? It's not like you are going to live there or create your own little society and be happy. No, you buy those because you want to tax the other ones, right? So it's a trade. I buy this because I want to grab that from you. In today's society, although it seems like it's a lot more complicated, in fact it's very, very simple. 4 billion people on this planet wake up every morning and they go somewhere. What are they doing there? Why do they go somewhere every day? They are motivated for that? To just go there somewhere? No. They go there because they have to trade, right? They give their energy, their motivation, their time to a company, for example, and then they give them money, and with that money they go and acquire whatever they want, like food and shelter and so forth. And all of our lives are built around trade. That's what we do most of our time. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, pretty much the entire year, we trade. And this game of trade will incentivize us to create a lot of waste and to create a lot of misery for ourselves and the rest. Pretty much no one asks, what are we doing? Why do we have to work all of our lives to acquire more shit, to destroy the environment, to destroy our minds? What for? And in the internet world, this has become even more tricky, because you visit a website, you go on YouTube, you want to see a video, and you trade your attention because you see ads, you trade your data to Google, and Google does whatever it wants with the data. And people think that this is free, but of course it's not free, it's not trade free. So from online to offline, all of our lives are based on trade. You cannot put any rule or law in place to make it fair, because it's the game itself that will make you a charlatan. Imagine if someone will want to build a society on another planet and say, I have a brilliant idea. What's your idea? Look, we put like billions of creatures on the planet. We give them no food, no water, no place to stay unless they do something for us or for others. It can be stupid things or it can be smart things. Doesn't matter, they have to do something. I would think that this is an insane idea. It will make those creatures extremely angry, extremely competitive, extremely uncaring about anything but accumulating more and more stuff, because it starts with the fact that they want to survive, okay? So I start with the fact that I need to accumulate for myself to have some food, some place to stay, and I will want more and more and more and more, because it incentivizes me. This Monopoly game, it will end. At the end of it, you could say, okay, let's just finish it, let's put everything into the box. The problem is, today's society is not going to end, okay? It's going to continue and continue and continue. And we can't just say, let's stop the game. We have to change the game. So we have to move from this trade-based society to something that is not trade-based, because we have so much stuff nowadays. We have more homes than homeless people. We have more food than people can eat, more clothes than people can wear. We have mountains of garbage because we have so much shit. So we should find a way to decouple people from this insane game of trading so that they can have more relaxed lives, and they can get involved and create more, let's call them trade-free goods and services to help each other. Let's share instead of trade. And I think that's the only way, and anything else in my mind makes little to no sense. People might think, but this is insanity. You want to change the entire structure of our society, right? That's complete insanity. And I understand, it really sounds insane. But to me, it's more insane to continue to play this mindless game and create so much destruction all around and thinking that it is going to get better, okay? On top of this, we have a lot of organizations around the world that do a lot of good work in this sharing manner without expecting anything in return. In a way, not playing the game. From Doctors Without Borders, who take care of 10 million patients from all around the world, to Wikipedia, who provides education for billions of people, there are hundreds of millions of volunteers that do this sort of work. And we should maybe do it like that, instead of attacking this world with laws and more police kind of. Maybe we should attack this world with solutions, and we should help humans detach themselves from the game itself until the game becomes irrelevant. Okay? Until I have access to whatever I need the least without trading anything in return. We are getting better at measuring things. We know how much energy we put somewhere and we extract from somewhere else. We know how many gadgets we have in the world, temperature, units, all kinds of measurements. Doesn't help us with anything. We pollute more, climate change is worse and worse. Look at the chart of how much we emit CO2, and then look at the Paris Agreement and other kind of agreements, and you will see that every time they made agreements and said we are going to cut the CO2 emissions, not only that it did not go down, it went up and up and up and up. So I would say we have to get rid of the game, and it sounds crazy, but it's more crazy to live in this society and think that anything will change. And I try my best to raise awareness about this issue of trade or trade-based society before I go back into my box.